Hey, Jared, welcome back to Smack Talk.
Hi.
Today we are reviewing episode 3 of Never Stop Blowing Up. For the first time, though, we're watching it a little bit differently. I watched it in Texas. Jared's still in New York City, so our guesses for what our favorite stuff is, least favorite stuff is going to be a little bit tougher since we don't have each other's reactions to base it off of.
Yeah. All
But
right.
we were talking, you think you might want to do just like a general review at the top?
Well, I want to preface because it was really hard. I took so many notes this time because I really wanted to do well at predicting what your favorite moments and least favorite were. But there was just so much in this episode, and so I wanted to do like a general review because what was so hard was that it was so good that I couldn't pick top threes. That was that was difficult. This is definitely one of my top probably 20 episodes. As I mentioned, 20. Maybe it's recency bias, but it was just so unhinged and so good, and the energy was great. I think there was some episode 2 like hiccups that I had, which happens sometimes when people are getting into new characters, but this was like everybody was in stride. It was good.
Yeah, I agree. I managed to get everything down to 3 except my favorite moments. Currently, I have a list of 8, but I think I know which ones I'll solidify as 3 once we do it live.
Okay.
I totally agree. I think the hardest thing though was creating 3 least favorites for me and 3 different least favorites for you.
Yeah. I think I got the trick.
Yeah.
So I'm interested.
This episode was just very solid from start to finish. I've only seen maybe 6 total to mention 20 episodes, and this would be my favorite that I've seen.
Which is a crime. It's a crime that we're doing this video.
This is what it took. This is what it takes. But whatever it takes,
whatever it takes.
But yeah, I don't know. I appreciate your review. I'll save my review as we go through it. But just know that I thought it was really good, and I also struggled with creating some of our top 3 in these categories.
Okay, you want to start with favorite moments? You want to guess mine first?
Sure, I'll predict yours. Okay, I think number 1, when Paula/Manhattan shoots the gun in the elevator and then starts dry heaving after they killed someone, and Kingskin is meanwhile holding the person who got shot in the head steady. I think that was like a peak chaotic funny moment for you. Number 2, Brennan keeps accidentally saying that the hotel is a hospital, and that's just like a nice sneak peek into the wholesomeness of his life. I think you can appreciate that sincerity. And then Doug meets sentimental moment when they're just having a heart-to-heart with Kingskin. And then I have Honore mention the whole fumbling the grenade around moment.
Let's do Luke Skywalker again. Incredible. Every word of what you said was wrong. So I just now I've become a little less simple. In the first episode, the first couple, I was a simple man. You know, I was easily pleased.
Sure.
But now I had 3 best moments, and then I had 2 honorable mentions, and I had a whole third tier of stuff that I had just written down that I really liked. A lot of that stuff made it, like the Doug Meat talking about Visigoths, like did make the third tier. But my 2 honorable mentions were it's just Dang shooting unconscious bodies and just killing them in cold blood. Yeah. It was just like everybody reacted really negatively to Paula blowing that guy's brains out, but then Dang just goes and pops just whoever's on the ground and nobody says a word. And he's just like, yeah, I just want to get this done. That made me laugh. And then my other honorable mention was Izzy and Reika's scene where Reika's just like picks up the phone, is like, it works, and then like does a fancy maneuver with the TV remote and turns the TV on, and then Izzy goes to shoot it, and then it's just a stupid, like, that was a perfect rule of threes there, I think.
That's not what happened though.
What do they do? What?
Izzy shoots the wall and
Yeah,
she's
yeah. Well,
practicing
she's
firing her gun.
it's
Okay,
just
okay.
like
She doesn't
she's
shoot the
trying
TV
to
off.
do. In my mind, it was like this is
Okay, okay.
we're pointing shit, but it was just like the rule of threes of the moment. That's just an honorable mention. It wasn't
Sure,
amazing,
yeah.
but it was just very
Okay,
like
okay.
Izzy jumps on the on like the train there at the very end and makes it
Yeah.
very funny. My actual three though were, and I just left these wide open, and you almost missed all of them. You got one sort of. My first one is just the entire fucking gift shop scene. The whole first gift shop scene. Them trying to find shirts. I don't know why. It's so funny. Brennan has a way of like coming about characters that are exasperated in a way where it doesn't seem like he's actually exasperated. They're just like they're having the worst day of their life, the character, and it makes me laugh. The first bullet point also has to include Jacob's scene right after where he thinks he's going to get laid, and it's just like I don't know how much of that is written. The little pig boy nonsense, I don't know how much of that is written or coming off the cuff.
That's not written. That's improv. Yeah,
But
that's
it's just so specific. There's so much going on. There's so much going on that it feels so like, oh, I wrote this
think you always
down.
have to keep in mind. I think you always have to keep in mind that there are a group of friends in real life and are probably talking about nonsensical stuff, and so
Yeah.
they're probably making
That is
inside
very
jokes
possible.
that we can't always catch.
Yeah.
I think that was an inside joke. Yeah.
The second one I have is just returning back to the gift shop after that 10 minutes. And
Gift shop
just
scene part
yeah,
2.
gift shop scene part 2. I don't know why it's so good, but the guy backflipping out, like going 15 miles an hour is like, I also don't know how off the cuff that is because like Brennan starts going into like, oh yeah, it's gymnastics, martial arts, and it's like, what do you mean? Did you write this down beforehand, or are you coming up with how you rationalize that this person was backflipping away at a speeds like unknown to man?
I know for sure that's improv too because I have it written down as a praise.
Yeah. Okay.
But yes,
And
still,
then
Brennan's just great at improv.
yeah, and even in that scene, like this is not a funny thing, but like if he brings in like the themes for the characters back in when he's like, oh, you were being so hard on Liv for shoplifting, but like Paula, you just held up a gift shop manager, and then she starts crying about it, and it's like, wow, this is actually we're doing some character work with this comedy, and I thought that was really impressive. But then you won't be surprised that my third one is just just talking to the backflippers, just talking to them. It's just insane that they're all turning 30 today, but they also don't know it's their birthday, and that one man is 80 years old. It's like, it's so in a different season I could see Brennan going like, oh, like I don't know, dude, but like in this one he's playing a character who's I don't know, dude, but he also thinks it's funny. I think he's fully into this, and it makes it so much funnier. I had to watch this in the hotel bed next to my girlfriend, and I was trying so hard not to wake her up. I was like laughing. I was like, oh my god. I was being so disruptive just because it was the energy of it. Even Allie goes like, this is the craziest you've ever been at this table, and it is true. I think that's right. I think Brennan's usually plays the straight man, and he's created a world this time that is just there's no man to be straight, and there's just crazy. Everywhere you look, something's wrong. But okay,
This is the only way I know Brennan. I just haven't watched enough D20, I guess, to know him as a straight man.
Yeah.
This is right exactly what I expect. I'm very happy to have him this way.
Definitely the intrepid heroes like throw him for a loop all the time, like the main six, and so he's the one who is the least unhinged at the table. But I think here it's like a very healthy balance of throwing it to whoever.
Yeah.
But okay, I've got my 3 for you. I'm gonna hope that any of these are right. But my first one is also Jacob shooting unconscious bodies. That was an honorable mention for me, but I think that was just way too like surprisingly violent, and that might have gotten you in the moment. My second one was how well Reika did the like, oh, you go to a piano that you haven't played in 20 years and you play for Elise or whatever, and like making that moment. I think it should have been storyboarded because I don't see how anybody, like how G13 will ever be storyboarded really, unless it's like the hacker stuff. And like the way she was describing it was like beautiful. That like she's the camera is pew pew pew, and I think that you would have liked that cinematic moment. And then I also think you liked when they started making Austin Powers references and someone just went, "Get in my belly," because I know you like that stupid breaking news segment where they just start doing fat bastard.
Interesting. I'm surprised you think that about me because culture references are my least favorite kind of comedy. So
Really?
no, no culture references. Yeah.
Wow.
That almost made my least favorite actually. The
Whoa.
Fat
Oh
Bastard
my
comment,
god.
yeah. Is an honorary
Am
mention.
I
on my least
misremembering
favorite.
that you like that breaking news?
I do like that breaking news, but they were assigned to be Fat Bastard from Austin Powers, and so it becomes more of a character than a
But that's
role.
a cultural
But
reference.
but it's a character it's a character, not it's not a reference. A reference is in and out.
Oh, okay, I
You know,
guess, yeah.
exactly like
Yeah.
it was in this
Okay,
campaign.
I could see that.
It's a very fine comb of how much Fat Bastard you can get away with, and more is better, and not enough is awful.
Fat bastard would say the same
So
thing.
in a lot of ways, your three favorites are my three favorites, but I didn't generalize it as easy as you did. It's just
I
like
just
gift shop
had
scene,
to.
gift shop 2, backflipper scene. Yeah. But my favorite moments I think are found in those moments. But I'm gonna change one live because I have to give my favorite joke always number one, I think.
Okay.
And it's back to back for Jacob. When Jacob puts the pin up the guy's nose and then says going down.
Oh, I
That's
had
good.
that one for you. That's the first one I wrote
Yeah.
down.
It's just I live for the let me make some James Bond-esque puns
Yeah.
in this.
And also, that was a good one.
That's
That was clever.
Yeah, it's good. It's much better than something sinks,
Yeah.
but it's that's what if I was in this campaign, Jacob and I are thinking on the same wavelength. Like that's what I would be trying to do. Find that one button to press every session. Okay, so my second favorite moment, you said the gift shop as like a whole, but I was trying to find like specific things that I like super liked in that. So my favorite joke during the first sequence was when it's coming to a peak, the argument between the kiosk guy and the whole group, and Allie's just like, let's go to a real store. And that's when I like laughed out loud, which I think Brennan also heard, and I think that like kind of spirals into him starting to criticize the whole like actual logistics of having a gift shop in a hotel, especially when it's not a chain.
I do think that like he was willing to say like yes and at the beginning, but then like it was always a little weird that they were looking for a gift shop in a hotel.
Yeah.
Like I've never heard of that either.
There is okay, so I used to be a tour guide in Houston, and we were based out of the Hilton. But because that's where the tour was, they created a gift shop. It wasn't there always, but the Hilton Hotel had a gift shop because they were trying to become like the community center of downtown Houston, since there wasn't one. So
Did stuff sell?
Yeah, that's where they would go. They would
Wow.
while they were waiting for the bus to start, or if they did like the full tour and then came back to the hotel, they would almost go straight to that gift shop afterward. So
Also, shirts for $4 is insane.
what's the 80s? So negative inflation.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But yeah, I just thought that was good. I also just put like as a asterisk our daily dose of Brennan criticizing capitalism. That's also like what I'm here for. It's why I'm engaging at all in Dimension 20. So that had to be number 2 for me. Number 3, it's so close. I'm so torn on like which way I want to go. I'll give it to the comedy, and so it's back to the gift shop. But my favorite moment from Gift Shop Part 2 is when Izzy yells out, "Why did you do that? Are you a dancer?" And like calls out. And then Reiko repeats it like, "Why did you do that? Are you a dancer?" As like the rationale, like what? I like Izzy's trying to rationalize the world around her in that way. But my super close, like could easily be my number 3, is just when Brennan rolls a d20 as the group of backflippers, and then he blows up the d20, and then he rolls out the d100, and it becomes a 68 check. And he's just like, yeah, I mean, let's just see. It's like a very casual demeanor of like 68 is the difficulty if you want to blow up everybody. So just accept that. And the rest of the table is like, wait, we just saw a d20 blow up, and Brent is moving right past it, and we just have to deal with a 68 check. I just really liked the casual demeanor of that. So those are my 3 favorites.
Okay. So I did your predictions pretty wrong, but that's all right.
But I was gonna say, like,
now?
we were pretty matched up. If you make it vague and just say gift shop scene, then we were actually like lined up a lot in what we were doing. Because even talking to backflippers is the d20 becoming a d68.
Yeah, so. I mean, you said like every minute of this was great.
Yeah.
I do think like the first, I'm gonna say, hour was less strong than the second hour. The second hour took off like a rocket. Just everybody, I don't know what happened, but like we got over that like trying to get out of the elevator stuff, and from that moment, like when they got out of the elevator, then it was on, like.
Yeah.
But before that, it was kind of like, oh, we're figuring it out combat, which they didn't have a set, which I think is good.
Oh yeah, I meant to give you props for correctly predicting your set.
It's just like Kids on Bikes is very like, oh, I do this thing. They didn't roll for initiative or anything. It's very like fluid.
It's good. I think I like this system more than 5e, which is how I was introduced to
whatever. You've never like learned to appreciate 5e, but that's the thing, is that even Ali was trying to remake 5e in
by comboing stealth with
blowing up system.
Brawl.
Yeah, like trying to remake Sneak Attack.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I do think that was that's not where my least favorites come from, but it is just something I noticed.
Mm-hmm. Okay, you want me to predict your least favorites?
Go for it.
All right, I got as number 1, Usha hacking the cameras successfully. I think you felt the pain of Brennan being like, don't do this to me. And you were like, you rationalized more as a DM than a player in that moment. And you're like, yeah, Usha isn't ready yet as a character to successfully do this. Number 2, I bet the throat pocket grossed you out. And then number 3, at the very end of the episode, we almost did a whole episode of no mirrors, but if he throws in a final reflection, like right before the credits, but we almost had a whole episode without it.
Okay, that's very interesting. I am trying more so to roll with the punches now, because let's say like whatever was set up in episode 1, if I didn't like what they did with it in episode 2, that's half of the story. But now technically whatever they're doing in episodes 2 and 3 might overwrite what was in episode 1 as like, getting to know the characters, so I'm actually more pro some of the stuff that I complained about last episode this episode, because of how they built on it. Okay. I'm just responding to yours before I do my actual worst ones. But like, Iffy's reflection thing, solely his thing. Like, he really just used it for his own character stuff. It was fine. Like the phone thing, and it was a game mechanic too that he was using. Like, okay, that makes sense. Like what he was doing, perfect. And then the Usha's thing of doing all the cameras, it was almost like she did so well in episode 2 that it makes sense for her to be the first person to blow up to a d20 in episode 3. That's like, oh, okay, whatever's going on with her is like crazy. Like she is getting better faster than everybody else. It makes more sense. It like justifies all the stuff that I felt was that was like an abrupt, I guess it was like, not an abrupt ending, but like an abrupt starting for all the characters' abilities. But it was better to see it in a second episode developing like that. So none of that. Everything was wrong. My first one was Ali. I don't know. I think I made these in the wrong order, but the one I have listed is Ali doing Russian, which is fine, but it kind of felt like, hey, I'm on my last hit. I got to try something out there. And Brennan kind of has to go like, oh yeah, okay, try something out there. And like, it'll work, And like, I think that's a little gamey in terms of like, if you're wanting to do other stuff first, but then you have to change tracks just because you're on your last hit and do something that really should be kind of a shot in the dark, and shots in the dark should miss, And so on a 10 episode season, maybe they always hit, which is fine. But it just kind of felt like, oh, okay, this was one where this is a gimme, you know?
Interesting. I had the opposite reaction. I'm just always pro rule of cool, and just like if you think of something creative, then yeah.
But like
that
that's the
works.
thing where like you should fail sometimes, you know, like it should not work that way. The times that it does work are even cooler.
I
In
don't know.
this, it is sort of about characters where things always work out for them, but like I don't know.
It
I
was
mean,
still a
the thing
check.
that
They had to use two
it was
tokens
a
to
check
make it work. So I
to
mean,
remember Russian and stuff, but the things that they said were like it doesn't sound like that character was actually aligned with the people that they said, because they said like, oh, it seems I've finally met my Shadow Falcon counterpart. And
mm-hmm.
it's like, okay, so that's saying that you're a Shadow Falcon, but then the lady's like, oh, you're a Shadow Falcon. And it's like, so it's Brendan trying to work his lore correctly into the conversation, but not like that means it doesn't fully accept what Allie was insinuating, you know. And so it's like, oh, okay,
Sure. I get why you don't like it. Yeah, I get why you don't like it. I didn't mind it.
Yeah. In the same way, my second one is Allie trying to do sneak attack in the system is like, oh, okay, when the going gets tough, we're trying to do weird stuff here, including like pushing a little hard that we do that we're going back to 2d20s and doing advantage or whatever. And it's like, it was funny, and I know it's mostly a joke, but I think that whatever happens with the failures even is going to be cool, you know, like, and that is sort of like my argument against the rule of cool thing, is that like no matter what happens, adventure will happen, you know, like fail if you want to, or like fail against what you wanted to happen, and it will still be fun and interesting, you know.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
But also I just like the system a lot. Like I really appreciate the system. It's kind of funny and clunky for us to go back to just 5e again.
Yeah.
And then my third thing was also a gamey thing, which was Reika trying to do a massage on the guy to like, okay, like calm him down.
That's an honorary moment for me. Like I said, I have 8 favorite
It's-
moments. That's one of my.
I can see why you like
8.
it, because it like is finding something in the character. I don't think I have a problem with it conceptually. It's just the push for like, oh, I want this to be a better role. Honestly, like the way Brennan does it, I appreciate, which is like, go for it. Like make the role that you would have made anyways, like, which is whatever check. Like you're basically just giving flavor that decides which of your dice you're rolling, but it doesn't like give you advantage or anything, you know. Like it's just like, oh, this is the way your character would do this action and in which direction they're going. So it was like a hot check or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
So I appreciate that, but it's just like saying like, oh, I should be good at this is like, well, in the same way that your character is good at things that you're not, maybe they're also not good at things that you are, you know?
Yeah. I don't know. I loved it. I like character justification. I like that it revealed, this is a sneak peek when we start talking about mechanics, but that everyone has like a once in a campaign role that they can do. And I'm very excited to see what those are. So I'm glad it got brought up.
Yeah. I've got your 3.
Okay, hit me.
I don't know what order I put them in, but I had some missed opportunities that I wrote down, and then I realized that those might be Austin might not like those moments. There's one point at which Iffy is talking to the impresario on the phone, and he's like, well, you better start planning your funeral, buddy. And then he closes the phone, and nobody makes a joke about how it wasn't a flip phone. And it's like, then he's just crushing, everybody's crushing all these technologies and trying to use them like laptops or flip phones. That seemed like a missed opportunity to me. It seemed like an easy joke.
Sure.
There was also an easy joke with Izzy. I thought that was a maybe this is just me, but like I thought that you would think this too, where the guy gets out of the elevator. He like slips out of the elevator, and Izzy grabs his pants and his shoes and his socks and his underwear, which is funny. But then Izzy beefs it and does like a nat 1 roll to get out of the elevator. And Jack Manhattan doesn't lose his pants. He also has to be naked now. That would be immediately funny.
The blood is just so slippery. They keep slipping out of
Yeah,
the pants.
everybody keeps. Yeah, and also like I can't say that there like isn't like that fan servicey moment in moments in those like male action hero movies, you know, where they're like, oh, all buff and hot or whatever. And then my third one for you was was them talking to Doug Meat, but Izzy's just like pushing him out of the door, like, okay, we'll talk to you later. And it's like, I think you would want to just stay in that scene and like find things in that scene with that character, and like not have somebody else just push the interesting character out the door.
Okay, the one you're most dead wrong about is that I am not a Doug Meat believer. Don't care about Doug Meat.
What?
Super glad that
He's
Jacob
fun,
also
he's
said what we
good.
said, and Jacob's like, that guy's gonna die. And it's like, yeah, I
Yeah,
already know he's
I
gonna
know.
die. I'm not attached to this
For
guy at
sure.
all. So,
But that's why you get attached, because they're gonna die.
no, I'm with Jacob. It's like, that guy's gonna die, so I'm gonna push him out of the way because I don't even
No,
really care.
I don't even think Jacob was saying that. I think he was just saying that guy is certainly going to die because we love him so much.
You might have meant it that way. I took it as I wanted to hear it, and that's like, that's a
Yeah,
checkbox that we'll check later. But there's way more interesting things happening
I
in the meantime.
I did honestly think he was gonna go say something, because he's just been shooting people all day. I almost expected him to say like, let's just shoot him now because he's gonna die later.
And that would have been my number one favorite moment had that happened.
My number one least favorite.
The pants falling down, that's one of my neutral moments. I feel like you did this exact thing last episode too. You like pitched an Izzy joke, and I was like, it wasn't favorite, wasn't least favorite, it was just neutral. And then I didn't even really notice, you highlighted for me that if he closed a flip phone, I'm playing it back in my mind and I can picture if he doing that, but that didn't even hit didn't even register.
I mean,
that,
it is
but
like an 80s world, 80s, 90s world. I don't think it
Yeah.
would be a flip phone.
it'd be like the little you pull out the antenna and then you close the antenna thing. I think.
or like a
I'm picturing like
Blackberry
Fresh
or
Prince of
something, I don't
Bel
know.
Air, which I think is 90s, so that might even still be too
yeah.
updated. Good predictions. I like what you said, but none of them are right. My least favorite, number one, after they get out of the elevator, Jacob makes the joke and he says that elevator trip was O negative, and nobody gives it even an ounce of appreciation.
I know. Oh yeah.
I felt bad that he swung, and like missing a swing is fine. A swing being completely ignored is like, oh, I feel that. My heart sank in that
Yeah.
moment. So no recognition for that joke made me feel bad. I didn't also like that Stocks, Jacob's character, was unconscious the whole fight, that Ali was like doing on his behalf, basically. It makes sense. It's like a good moment for Ali's character, but I think it would have been more fun / I just want to see more of Jacob. So
yeah, but I just thought he worked with it so well when he wakes up and he goes, "Was I good?" It's
yeah,
like,
I know.
that's so good. That's so good. He worked with it, and then also they just cut to him and he's doing the "I'm knocked out" face.
Yeah,
It's
I
just
know.
like,
It's good.
it's
I
so
had
funny.
as another honorary mention, I had Jacob's like auga face when Brendan's describing who he's having sex with. It's so good. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just biased. I want more Jacob, so the fact that he was knocked out the whole
Okay,
fight was
write
like,
that down on my prediction sheet so I can make sure I know what you like.
And then the last thing I have, I just felt bad for the theory of the game, because Brendan ends up blowing up the first D20 and then has to reveal like what happens next, and I just feel like that would have been better if a player did it. Like that's probably what Brendan was fantasizing about as he was like thinking about
When you
this.
say now, like it makes so much sense. I do think now I know. It makes it so obvious what you would pick out of this stuff.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. I just feel bad. I feel like Brendan, as he was fantasizing about making this, thought that a player would be the first one to do it, not him. But it's
Yeah.
okay. It was still cool. Just maybe a little undercut.
All right, you want to go into functions or whatever gameplay mechanics?
Yeah. So I already kind of hinted at the first one, but there's once in a campaign type roles that everyone can do, and it sounds like Reika's is. I just trusted I would remember. I didn't write it down, but it has something to do with coaxing someone. Like they were gonna massage someone's neck, and that was supposed to work somehow.
Yeah,
But I
I
forgot.
couldn't quite understand that. It might be the adventure parties, which I haven't had time to watch yet, which I really need to because they even mentioned it. But I just don't know what that means, and it interests me so much.
I
Is
had
it
this
a
in
separate-
predictions.
They get to pick.
My prediction is that they kind of realize that they have a secret skill as their video store self, and their video store self has a special check that they can use in this world. and so Reika's like
Okay.
neck rubbing. I'm just forgetting like what the name. I think Reika says the name at some point, like what that role is called. Um, but that's like what they did in the real world, so to speak. And so if they do that in this world, it'll be a special role. But then we'll figure out like what
Yeah,
each
yeah, and then I
person's
think it.
real skill in the video world is for this world.
And so it starts at a D20, and then every time you use it, it goes down.
No, I
Is
thought
that
it
what
was
they
just
said?
once in a campaign roll. You just roll it one time.
I think it's a once in a campaign roll. I want to say that they said it's a D20 for one time, and then every time you use it after that, it goes down to it like D12, D10.
It was just such a
D8,
short
you know.
interaction of between them
Yeah,
talking.
yeah,
I feel like I'd remember that if they said
that's
that. I
what
don't
I'm
remember
saying.
them
There's a
saying that.
gameplay mechanics sheet, and they maybe read it off in the adventuring parties, but like there's a mechanics sheet that I want published that is that sheet that tells them what it is.
Interesting. Okay, I mean if that's it too, that's good. But I also like if they just get
Okay.
one roll and that's it.
Yeah. There's potential for either. I think it really depends what it actually is. I had written that one down, so I'll skip to my next one. Wealthy, just that one little feat that Kingskin has of like, oh, you can ease the situation with money.
Mm-hmm.
I really like that. I don't
Yeah.
know. It's just like, it's like it makes perfect sense. It worked like in the moment exactly. It was exactly how you would think it would play it out. It played out, and I don't know. I think Alex is really good at using their character or just making their character to be used super well,
Mm-hmm.
and so that made me happy.
Nice. I have best improv. The hotel guy. I feel like Brennan just grabbed a dice and it ended up being a D20. And then Izzy's like, a D20 for the hotel guy? And that's when Brennan just does really good improv. And that's why later the guy ends up doing 30 backflips to prove that he was like a super talented guy. But it wasn't like someone key to the story. We don't cut to like a movie poster and he's secretly one of those people. It just
No.
Brendan's just doing good improv and like made this
Yeah, I
whole
guess
secret
you're right.
society.
They do actually do that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Huh, yeah. It is really good improv, and it has such good lore immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Like that they like, what's it called? They microdose the drug that makes you superpowered or whatever.
Yeah.
And just to do the gymnastic stuff, like, oh man. And also like there is that kind of person, like there's the kid from Ocean's 11 who's like a gymnast that they need for the heist or whatever. Like
Yeah.
gymnastics is like necessary in this action world.
I also like because Fast and Furious is action with cars, right? It's car foo, and then
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's a movie called Stomp the Yard, and that's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be an action movie, but with dance, and like you just dance off so well that if you lose the dance battle, you feel as though you're dead inside. Like you're just like, oh, I'll never dance again. If I can't win every dance off, then I might as well be dead. And that's kind of like what anime does too. I've shown you some anime. Yeah. There's like a golf anime.
It's like how you play Marvel Snap.
But there's like a golf anime, and like if you lose the golf match, you just feel like you've been mortally wounded to the point where like characters trick themselves into feeling like they're dying. It's like that's what it is. That's what action movies are. So when Brennan said like gymnastics is more than I forget the exact language he said, but he was like, wait, what did he say? I don't know.
Oh, gymnastics isn't just a sport. Like,
oh yeah,
if you do it
it's
hard
just
enough,
sport.
it can
It's
be used
also a martial art.
as combat or something. Yeah, it can be used as martial art.
Yeah, and that's just fun to think about. I like thinking weird little things like that.
No. It's good world building.
Mm-hmm.
I have that. I think the turbo tokens are getting gammed now. I think that people got onto what Allie's doing.
Yeah.
Which is just making a lot of checks and trying to use as many tokens as possible, and that's going to lead to kind of a power creep on like everybody having higher dice like towards the end of the series, and then we're just rolling d20s for everything, you know.
That works for me. I like that. It seems like Brennan's keeping pace. Whatever they have is what he's also rolling to create the checks. So
yeah, but I do think there is like it's a little sad, I think, in design that the blow up is so much easier at the beginning because you start to run out of blow ups toward the end, which is nice because then when it happens, it's rarer. And I
Hmm.
think for 10 episodes, it should work. I kind of feel like if they keep gaming the turbo token system, we might end up with like less blow ups for like the last 3 episodes than the rest. And it might be like uh, lowering the energy of the general like rolling system. Like when you make a roll, there's just an overall less chance of anybody blowing up that it makes it the pacing
I
makes the pacing
think
slower.
there's 10 stats, right? That they all have, or is it
I
eight?
think there's 8.
8 stats. I still think that's enough to where we'll still see at least 10 blow
Yeah, and
ups
there's
in the
8 per
final episode.
character. Yeah,
I
do you
think
think that?
Brendan will just keep tabs and like just make them use skills they haven't seen if he's
Yeah.
trying to like keep it entertaining for in that aspect.
Well, some of this stuff, even like what you're talking about with the best improv with the gymnasts, is like that's the benefit of having so many people at the tables. That like Brennan has said, sometimes he'll just let them have their scene, and then he'll go and just like start typing on the laptop of like what's gonna happen next.
Yeah.
And that is really nice. Um, that also works for this system where it's like there's so many people doing things at all times that like 10 episodes worth of people doing it, it might not have that like everybody gets to be too powerful too early, like I would fear, you know.
Yeah. My next one I have along with tokens. I that was the first time I heard it. I don't think they've said it before, but as your injury status goes up, spending tokens gets harder. That's a good balancing mechanic. I'm just
Yeah,
surprised that that's the outcome. I feel like, if we're trying to make sure our characters don't die, and like also action heroes in their final moments, I feel like get even more badass. It seems like spending tokens should get easier, not harder. But that was just
yeah.
my. If I was world building this, or if I was crafting the game, I think that would have been my mistake. I would have made it easier as you get more injured. I think Brendan's correct in the way he said it. I was just surprised to hear that.
I think that does work with the gameplay aspect. It's sort of the like what you're talking about is the give and take of like, oh, do these characters have true plot armor or not, you know?
Yeah.
Uh and so I think he's going for more of the game aspect because he's willing to give them the plot armor when they need it, you know?
Yeah, I think that's the correct choice. I think I would have made the wrong choice if I was crafting it.
Yeah.
I would have flipped it.
I had written down the 20 blows up to 100. That was something that we did, but we already talked about that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I did write down that Iffy's reflection was better executed this time because that was genuinely good. Like pulling out a character feature to do it and then like it making complete sense. Like the exact outcome that happened results like in whatever it would have been, no matter the flavor he would have given it, you know? So the reflection is perfect for that. I do still think it's a little like he has the opportunity to like justify whatever he wants to do too easy in either direction, but I don't think he's using it that badly. And I think
Yeah.
it's like
If it's in
that
small doses, no grievances.
yeah, it's like a gift he's giving himself that he's not overusing. So like, there's no complaint actually, you know.
Yeah.
That's the last one I have.
All right, I have 3 left, but you said the D20, D100 thing, so really I have 2 left. I wrote down that there was another mistake with the dice. You questioned if that really happened, so I watched like a hawk to make sure that I was seeing it happen. But Allie rolls a 2 on a D6 and then spends 2 tokens to get it to a 3, and that makes it blow up. So it shouldn't have blown up because it didn't get to the 6 that it needed to. So
because they were severely injured.
They had to spend 2 because they're severely injured to get it to the 3 that was the check. But then, like everyone agrees that it should blow up.
Okay.
And so they blow up the D6 even though it didn't reach a 6. So
Interesting.
there are just some inconsistencies on like how and why and when they're blowing up stuff and what the next dice is. It's fine. It's not like taking me out of the story or like I don't have any problem with it. It's not a negative for me. I'm just pointing out that it's happening as a D&D mechanic. And then the last thing, I don't believe there was any real showcase of the prop lights this episode, which I thought was interesting because Reika uses the Shadow Falcon protocol seemingly correctly. They put it in the laptop and get like new information from it, but no trigger of the lights when that happened. So I just thought that was another interesting mechanic note to point out.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I'm actually gonna add one in because I just thought of it.
Okay.
Jacob's approach to like his character, and even just like adding negative energy to the table that is well received, I think is difficult to do, and he does well.
Yeah, like being upset that they don't appreciate Rashab.
Yes.
Yeah, it is
That
good.
is like inter-party conflict in a way that is like perfectly reasonable and like adds to everybody's character, and even like everybody has a different opinion on it. It like puts us all back into the original world of like Elsinore or whatever,
Mhm.
while still being the characters. So that like, oh, we're hearing more about what they think about this character to his face, and that's what's challenging about this moment. And I thought that that's, I don't know, kind of high level play for somebody who's, you know, first time in the dome. We gotta get him in here more at least, you know.
Yeah, I'm not under the impression that this is like even like his first 10 times ever playing D&D. It's just his first time here.
Yeah.
But he did mix up what the D10 was. He thought the zeros were, or he thought the 10 was a 10.
Actually, I don't know. It might be pretty early.
Maybe.
He seems too cool for D&D.
He seems too cool for D&D. Did you?
Like
there was a viral TikTok going around. Do you know where he's from? Like his first.
Yes, I know where he's from.
Pitch Perfect.
Yes.
Yeah, nice. I just learned that. That's so good.
It is very strange to go back and look at him, because also him not having any facial hair or anything is it's very like, oh, is that Jacob Wysocki?
All right, so let's we got predictions and pyramid left. Do you have any predictions? I got 3.
I have one.
Okay.
You go first then.
Okay. I feel like I rank them in like safest to boldest, but I think Bersimeon doesn't just watch the races like they're predicting. I assume he's actually going to be in the race, and in order to get information out of him, they're going to have to beat him in the race.
Okay, yeah.
That feels
That's
pretty.
safe one.
It's pretty safe. That feels standard. But I was just surprised that they thought, yeah, he probably goes and watches the race every time, instead of thinking he's in the race every time.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be way more exciting and like a reason to come back into the, because you could just watch the race if it's a movie,
and it would be.
That's what you do with movies. You watch them. So you would go into the movie to be in the race.
That's what Barsimeon Higgs does. He goes into the movie to watch the movie. He doesn't do anything.
Yeah. Okay, your prediction?
My prediction, and I feel pretty strongly about this one, in the same vein as what you've been saying about like they go into a comedy movie or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
What if Jacob is actually being Rashabed?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what if he already is in the movie and he's being controlled? Because he's like, oh, I'm Rashabing somebody. And it's like, what? Like, actually, there is precedent for being controlled. Like, I think it would be very Brennan for, like, it to be, like, we were always in the second layer of this, not the first, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And for Jacob's character to have been being controlled by, I don't know, somebody who I guess enjoys going to a world where you're just a video store employee.
I don't think you're right, but if you're right, then I would want to extend that prediction, and then I would just assume Barsimeon is Rashab.
Interesting.
But
so it's like a full circle.
Yeah, it's a full circle thing. I think the whole thing with this is that this is meant to be Jacob's arc of like learning to realize he has potential, and it's not coming from Rashab.
Yeah, I can see the like that's the normal thing of it.
Yeah.
But they like there's so many campaigns where there is a reveal with Brennan that I think like that it's a reveal that always like says more about the world that was always in front of you but you never really realized, and everybody writes it off so easy at the table. Like everybody's almost consoling him that it wasn't real in episode 3. That it's like, okay, are we not setting up for an episode 8? Holy shit, this was real the whole time.
Yeah, I'm you're selling me. I'm intrigued. I'm just so sure it's more of a writing
I'll
arc
have to see the execution,
plot point, but interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, second prediction. I think you'll like this one. Greg Stocks will lose his virginity. Do you want to guess to who? You want to guess?
To who?
I think it's perfect. I think it makes perfect sense who I put down.
I don't. I just can't go for the incest joke. I have to think it will be, I don't know. Who is it?
I'm going to say Lucy, Manhattan's soon-to-be ex-wife.
Okay, I was like, there's the one other woman. Interesting.
And I think that'll be Manhattan's final motivation to sign the papers. And I think it'll be an awkward friend moment that they have to get through, but then they'll get through it. I just think
Interesting.
I don't think I
That
don't
could
think
totally happen.
I don't think Greg Stocks is gonna know that's who it is, but I think Brennan will pull that rug from under them. Stocks will try to have sex one more time, and instead of being assassin again, it'll be Manhattan's
That would be
ex-wife.
very, very interesting.
Yeah, I
I
feel good about
love
that
the character dynamics that throws into this.
one.
Yeah, I
Because
would
we
be
got to
very
meet Lucy
invested
at some
in that.
point, and it just feels like
We have to.
that'll probably be how we meet them.
Yeah. There's a clear avenue for that now.
And then this one, I think is kind of safe, but feels bold at the same time. It seems like we're setting up like an iffy focused episode next episode because we're going to do drag racing. But I don't think you've seen much Fast and Furious, right?
I have not. Not
Okay.
a single one.
So the original Fast and Furious, like the first three, are really focused on the fact that an undercover cop is like involved and around and like wants to participate in underground racing. And that's who Izzy's playing as, basically, as like an undercover cop. So I think it seems like it's a Wendell iffy focus episode coming up. But assuming Brendan like did his research and watched the movies that these characters are based off of, I think we're actually going to get more of a Izzy focus episode next time. Because that's how the original Fast and Furiouses worked and like were actually about.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I feel like these episodes, just with how big of a character Izzy as a person is, have been pretty Izzy focused in the first place. But no, I can see that, like, at the very least, it might be both, and
Sure,
they
yeah.
get to have their little duo episode.
But I more mean, I guess, that they'll be kind of recreating elements from Fast and Furious, but not the go-to elements of the racing, rather the elements from the first three movies of like the, hey, why is there an undercover cop here? Prove that you really are like who you say you are and like want to be a part of this community, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right, and that takes us to, I'm going to call this the player pyramid. This is like how well they did as players.
Okay.
Is that how you think of this?
I think of it, well, because I also include some stuff like table interaction, like, because you can help other people and like.
See, if I'm evaluating this as them as people, like how they are, that feels a little bit more messed up, and also like completely changes my ranking.
No.
Yeah. So like,
I
this
definitely
is
don't.
what you did as
if
your
anything,
character.
I at worst I'm saying what they did for the episode, which is like as a creator and
but as your
mostly
character,
as a player. Okay.
I'm just saying that's how I'm doing it because I got some hot takes. Or no, but sorry, it's not as your character. It's as a player, as someone who is expected to play D&D. How well did you play D&D today?
All right, we'll say that for yours, and then we'll go to mine, and I will remember how I did mine, and then we'll see if that is accurate.
Okay.
It's probably accurate.
Last time we started from the top. You want to start from the top again?
Yeah.
My big take is at the bottom. So.
Okay.
Starting at the top. My number one player for this week is Iffy. I feel like Iffy kept the arcs most in play, constantly like reassuring people and like asking questions. Even when they go back to the store the second time and everyone's fighting again, Iffy asks like, "Hey, where is Stocks and Ali's character?" Ali's character is the one I can't remember the most. What their burglar character's name is? It's Drips. Where's Drips and Stocks?
Drips.
I just felt like Iffy was always making sure, while still participating and having fun, was making sure that the story was on track without putting that pressure on Brendan. So, Iffy is my number one player of the week.
Okay, my number one is Reika. I put her lower in the second episode because of the abrupt transition to G13 and some of the stuff that happened. But this episode, I think, justified a lot of that. And there was just like so much that the dice helped tell that I think Reika's in a very difficult position being a hacker of the group because her character has like no fighting ability or like isn't supposed to like inhabit that persona. And so looking for things to do, like turning the lights off in the elevator, is a really brilliant, like, oh, okay, this is what I can contribute to the situation, and this is how I'm a special character in this group,
Yep. Couldn't agree more. That's why Greika is number 2 on my pyramid. Everything you just said, I think they're playing the unique role the best. They're creating unique instances in the story. I really appreciate that. I just appreciated Iffy's friendliness to keep the story on track in a very
Yeah.
good way a little bit more. And then alongside Rika, I still have Jake at number 2. I you said it better than I did. I had in so many words written down that I did like that Jake was creating these negative interactions of like questioning if everyone still thought he was foolish for liking Rashab, and like doing just a really quick one off. Rika makes the joke like, "Oh, you thought we were derailing now? Oh boy, wait to see what Jake does." But then Brennan makes it relevant to the story. It's really quick, it's in and out, short and sweet.
Yeah.
I thought it was all. I'm really glad that happened, and it only happened because Jake like made a realistic like opportunity, and then they discovered like
Yeah,
a
and
new thing out of it, which was really good.
in complete agreement, Jake is also on my second tier.
Cool.
He's there with Iffy.
Nice.
Jacob, I think, was just like, he is so good at being a supportive player and taking the spotlight when he needs to. That is such an important thing, that like he's willing to give it away and willing to take it. That it's just, it impresses me from somebody who like I just is, I think is like a big character on shorter form content.
Yeah.
Like somebody who can genuinely share the stage. It's, I don't know, that's not easy to do. And then just his entire scene and adding negative influence into like what's happening is necessary to make everybody else's characters better even. And that is also sort of what Iffy was doing. Like Iffy starting to question people and like, oh, like what are you, like, let's interrogate your motivations a little bit about like you're willing to do this to one person but not to another. That is a challenge you're setting for somebody at the table to be like, okay, now as your character, justify your actions to me.
Yeah.
And that, I don't know, that's so necessary for kind of some of the more heartfelt stuff I can see happening in this season, that they just did a ton of work for it and definitely went above and beyond. My only thing with Iffy is that like Vic Ethanol is not doing anything crazy right now. So, you know, other than that, you might have challenged for the top.
Yeah, that makes sense. I feel like I'm glad if he has the mirror, because I do feel like the transition from Wendell to Vic is the slowest. So it's at least nice that he has the mirror to like peek into. And maybe that is, I mean,
yeah,
it could be like a nice justification for why the transition's so slow, because they aren't as intertwined as the other people are. So
yeah,
it's nice.
I can see that.
Okay, I'm gonna slow roll my bottom pyramid as just like my clear number 4, Allie. I don't have a lot of justification for it. I more so have justification for why the next people will be 5, 6, and 7.
Yeah, I don't think Allie's like taking a front seat this season. I think Allie's very like, we're gonna see what happens with my character, and like in the past they've just like gone stream of consciousness. Whatever I say is what happens, and it gets fucking insane. But this season they're very like, oh, I'm gonna try to get my stats up, I'm gonna play it safe, and I'm gonna like try to do some cool stuff.
Yeah,
and that's good.
I do like that they keep trying new things. I particularly liked in the elevator where Allie's character just keeps getting slammed around because they can't get a check. So that's good. Okay, you say your number 5, and then I'll surprise you with my number 5.
Well, I mean, it's all tier 3 for me. That's what a pyramid is, you know. But so Allie is down
in
there.
Order of when I put the blocks.
So I also had Alex down there because
as number 5.
I don't have a fucking number 5. It's tier 3. It's a pyramid.
Well, then why not put Izzy first? Why not just say Izzy now?
Okay, fine. It's fucking Izzy. What do you want from me? Izzy was funny. Izzy was really, really funny, but it's the same thing we've been doing for the past couple episodes.
So funny.
And you know, it's not bad whatsoever. It makes me laugh to no end. I'm being disruptive at night at 2 a.m. My girlfriend has work at 8, and like it's that funny. It just wasn't that much of a swing, and we're not doing like character work like everybody else, that I can't commend it as much as some of the other like big stuff we're doing, you know, like actual developments.
Yeah,
we will get there with Izzy's character. I'm positive. It's just this episode wasn't for her other than comedically.
You ready for a fourth wall break?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so last episode we agreed that Brennan would be at the bottom of each pyramid as sort of a sign that
Yeah,
like
yeah.
this isn't meant to be mean. Like, we just think it's fun to rank the players, blah blah blah. It's just for fun. But before we started this channel, you said that we should always be authentic to our audience. And I'm a mean person.
Double wall break. Oh, wow.
Brennan is
Okay.
number 5 on the pyramid. Brennan is not at the bottom.
Wow.
Brennan's
went
character as
up?
the backflipping person is just too good. It's just too good.
It's too good.
I would be willing to put it as number 2, except for the fact that character doesn't get a name, and that's like rule number 1 of improv.
Yeah.
You got to give your characters names. So we'll keep it at the bottom for now. But that character does
Don't they
way
give
more
them a
than
name?
anything that who I'm going to put at number 7 is.
I think they get a first name.
I don't. Oh, you know what? No. They give a new.
They keep talking about the boss.
I'm not
and
talking
then
about the
they
boss.
Say
That's
the boss's name.
That's Cleet. I forgot his last name.
Okay, yeah.
But
Cleet, gun shoot.
the guy who works at the kiosk, they just keep calling him guy who works at the kiosk because he didn't get a name.
I swear to God, they either give him or the guy that he talks to, like the main guy of the group, a name. It might be the main guy of the group, and there's 3 that we know now.
Maybe. But I just think what Brennan did with that character, especially if my suspicion's correct, that was like 98% improv. Good. Brennan's
It
got to
does
be
feel
on
that
the
way.
pyramid today, this week.
Dang.
Yep. And then, so you already said
Okay.
Alex is your number 6.
Yeah. Alex just didn't take any big swings. There was a lot of great stuff. The grabbing the grenade is sick as hell.
Yeah.
And just like willing to take one for the team and block the hallway, great. And like I don't know, the stuff they do with Izzy when Izzy blows that guy's brains out, and Alex didn't have to, I think, but like implies that was the guy that they were holding. It's like, oh, okay, that is funny. That would be really funny if they were just steadying them to get their head blown off.
Yeah. Izzy's my number 6. All the same reasons you said. Izzy's just super funny, and I think they're a great person to have at the table. I just don't know how much praise I want to give them this week as a player per se, but great contribution, great energy at the table for sure. As a
I do think
person,
that's
number 1. As a
accurate.
player, number 6. But then my number 7 is Alex. I can appreciate the little things that are happening with Alex, but I feel like Alex almost isn't really doing much at all. Kingpin or Kingskin is a gentle giant, and so I feel like it's the correct interpretation. By nature, gentle giants do kind of just tend to be in the background, but I don't know, just so much more is happening to where the Kingskin moments are not even things, they're just things that are happening around Kingskin, and Kingskin's just there as a result.
Yeah, even in like this episode, like they're in the gift shop scene, but like don't super contribute to like how annoying this
Yeah, exactly.
the whole group
So,
is being to the gift shop.
Still
guy.
love Alex as a person, no shade to Alex as a person, but I'm willing to be mean
I did put Brennan
and
at the
properly
bottom
put
because I
Alex
think he
at
can
the
take it.
bottom as a player.
Yeah, I did put Brennan at the bottom because I think he can take it. But also, just like 30 backflippers. Come on, man. How silly can you get?
He did one backflip for every
I can't
person in the
do-
party. I mean, he's a sweet guy.
Yeah.
And they're all 30 years old.
30.
30's key.
They're all 30 years old. It is like, taking the mask off a little bit. Him pulling out the wallet and them going like, is it your birthday today? And he's like, I don't know. And he like pulls out the wallet. He's like, yeah, I guess so. It's like, it's just such a confusing interaction.
It's brilliant because they're not about that. They're about dancing. They're about
They're not about
backflipping.
that.
That's all they're about.
Yeah. Yeah.
They've forgotten who they are. They are only backflippers.
Man. Brennan gets to stay on this week. He doesn't get kicked off again.
Yeah, I
and have to
know.
come back next week.
I know.
He really brought it back. Last week we kicked him out, and he said that he reflected, and he was like, hey, I'm going to get better.
Yep. I appreciate
You
that.
said he played too many characters, and he played more. He doubled down.
Any chance you know the mathematical term for when you times it by 30? He
What the fuck? I don't know if there's a word for that.
tricentered it. I'm going to Google it real quick.
Yeah, sure. He quintupled it.
Math term for multiplying by 30. Doubled, tripled, quadrupled, quintupled, and then it says etc.
Etc. He et cetera.
He did cetera it. I don't want to look too long for that. All right, he had said Reddit. Okay, well, all in all, super solid episode. Like I said earlier, this is my favorite episode I've seen. I've only seen 6 total D20 episodes, but this one was
Yeah,
super
like
funny,
3 of
super
Fantasy
good,
High Season
jam
1 and
packed with
then
great
these 3.
player-to-player interaction and character-to-character interaction.
Yeah.
And
I
yeah,
really, really loved it. I'm excited for the rest of the season because all the bananas shit that's happening is going to be so much fun. And there's just such a like conversational tone at the table that I think I will continue to be disruptive and wake my girlfriend up at night trying to watch these episodes.
yeah. You just need to get your girlfriend to watch them with you.
I know she's so busy. She got work in the morning.
Yeah. So we're hoping to get this up on Friday. You should be watching this tomorrow at noon if all goes according to plan. Unfortunately, the next week I will also be out of town, but hopefully we can get the video up on Sunday of the week prior, and then hopefully we can get normalized to just always having this up Friday or Saturday. So anticipate
Yeah,
that for the
please,
schedule. I'm putting this in the video to hold us more accountable. If you are liking what you're hearing, consider giving it a like, share it with people. Like we said in the first few episodes, we really want this to kind of satisfy
if you
a
like and
niche.
subscribe, Austin has to watch more Dimension 20. He literally has to.
If this becomes a
It does
popular
well, we
series,
have to make him.
we'll do this for all the campaigns moving forward.
Yeah, as of right now, we're almost a Marvel Snap channel.
All we need is like 10 people to say they like this, and we would do it forever. So it doesn't even need to be a big threshold. But please consider sharing this if you like it. Like we said earlier, we're trying to satisfy a niche of having just more Dimension 20 content out there. It's too good of a company and a group of people to not have a bigger cult around it. So this is our small contribution, and we hope you enjoy it.
Yeah. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching.